you'll stand in the place of instruction, and then the rest of that will do a better job, and then the people out of there. Always be respectful. esteemed colleagues, parents, family members, and friends, underformers, and members of the class of 2019, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Millbrook's 88th commencement exercises. Reverend Cameron Reynolds Hardy will bless this commencement. None are better suited for the task, as her Millbrook connections are broad and deep. With her husband, Bill, she joined the Millbrook faculty in 1990, and together they are Millbrook parents and veterans of this service 29 times. They're not parents 29 times, they are parents 3 times of Millbrook graduates. A graduate of Bowdoin College and Yale Divinity School, she serves Millbrook in exceptional ways as an advisor, a dorm parent, a teacher, and most of all, as our chaplain. Chaplain Hardy.
Transition. It is the most challenging period in the process of evolution. Not at the first spark of an idea or a form, and not at the last push to completion. It's that time after ignition and before full fruition. Millbrook is an evolutionary school. It's kind of in our DNA to be envisioning and revisioning our very being, just as the founding family, the Pullings, pioneered. We hold on to our essential values while we make changes for our common betterment, all the while keeping ourselves open with our hearts and minds to those inevitable curveballs in life which are entirely out of our control and as much a part of the creative process as that which we will to contribute. Class of 2019, you are a transition class. You are the first to create fishbowl forums, a space for students-only conversations on topics you care about and which are hard for us to confront. You are the first to create a writing center. You are the last to know the intimacy and noise and chaos of the old dining hall. The first third form girls to make Clark Hall your home, and the last to be coached and taught and mentored by Mr. Allen. In your time at Millbrook, the world has continued to experience the effects of monumental changes in the cultures we humans create and in the concurrent shifts in the natural world. How have you navigated these transitions? With humor and curiosity, with compassion and depth of feeling, with transparency and grit. You have reached beyond yourselves to shake off your fears and to allow yourselves to be changed, as a few of you so eloquently stated in our Friday assembly. I, for one, have been moved and changed by you, more inspired to be who I am and to be who we are. In blessing this ceremony today, on behalf of my colleagues, I honor you and I thank you for embracing transition, for showing us not to fear our vulnerabilities, and for showing us courage and creativity as we continue to evolve as a school and as a world. And with that, I invite us all to call upon what is highest and deepest by the name each holds sacred and dear. Spirit of life and love, let your presence be known to us in this day as we honor and celebrate the various paths that the members of this graduating class have taken, the ways in which they have given and the legacies they will leave. Help us to hold in our hearts and minds their many accomplishments, the joys and sorrows we have shared, and as we celebrate change, the very essence of life. We have all been challenged, we have grown, and we have been transformed this year. Be present as we give you praise. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Hardy. On this Memorial Day weekend, it is proper and right to honor the men and women of the armed forces, especially those who have given their lives in service to our country. Please stand and join me in singing America the Beautiful. The music can be found in your programs. Please be seated. A proud graduate of Millbrook in the class of 1986, Kelly M. Coles is an equally proud parent of daughter Izzy, class of 2019. At Millbrook, Mrs. Coles was a student head at the Trevor Zoo, a dorm leader in Clark, and a member of the varsity soccer and lacrosse teams. From there, it was on to Middlebury College, and then a varied and successful career in fields as distinct as equine breeding and management, human resources, and executive search. Throughout, Millbrook has remained a passion as Mrs. Coles has served the school as a class agent, a decade chair, and since 2018, a member of the Board of Trustees. She's kindly agreed to offer this morning's welcome and congratulations on behalf of the board. Please join me in welcoming Kelly Coles.
Thank you, Drew. Good morning. This is a beautiful day to give thanks, and I think there'll be some common themes that you'll hear today. To the Millbrook School class of 2019, welcome and congratulations. I welcome families, friends, and the entire student body here today to this wonderful celebration. I realize I may be biased, but word around campus is that this class, senior pranks aside, is the best since the class of '86. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it is my distinct honor to welcome you, your families, and everyone here today. I also extend a heartfelt welcome and a thanks to our dedicated faculty, staff, and administrators, without whom all that makes Millbrook Millbrook would not be. Thank you. As Drew said, I'm a proud member of the class of '86, a member of the Board of Trustees, and the extremely proud member of ISI, who graduates with this fantastic class today. I'll be forever grateful for my long-standing relationship with this school, and grateful to my parents here today for making my enrollment here non-negotiable. I hope you'll all take a moment to thank those who made your Millbrook experience and make it possible. We are certainly thankful to all the parents who've entrusted their children with us and for partnering with us through the high school experience. Thank you. So the reason for my gratitude is simple. When I came to Millbrook in 1983 as a meek 15-year-old, I was really sure of all the things I couldn't do and that I wouldn't do. I knew I would find safety in the zoo, and I knew I'd be able to ride my horse, and in my very closed mind, that was enough. I could never have imagined that I would find success on the lacrosse field, in the dorms, and as a student leader, and that I would actually come to love learning. I certainly could never have imagined that fast forward all these years that I'd have the privilege of standing here greeting you all today. And yet here I am, and that is what makes Millbrook Millbrook. This school did for me all those years ago what it still does today, and that is to lead students out of themselves, to challenge them to step out of their comfort zones with ample runway for trial, error, and eventually success, all with just the right amount of support and all with just the right touch in a safe community. I believe this is the true measure of a full and meaningful high school education. Since its inception in 1931, Millbrook has always known what the education that it offers is about. There's an absolute clarity of mission. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of our illustrious headmaster, his team, and the board over the years, the commitment to preparing our students for lives of meaning and consequence by instilling the values of respect, integrity, leadership, stewardship, service, and confidence remains as strong as ever. In these tenets lies the value of a Millbrook education. They become a part of who you are. They actually work their way into your core. The guiding values by which Millbrook operates become a part of your identity. I've been fortunate to get to know many of you over these past few years and spend time with many of you, and I've been struck by your sense of identity and belonging. You all bring different gifts to this community with your own unique identities, with your diverse backgrounds, talents, and ideas, and you all belong. You collaborate with your peers and your teachers. You challenge. You practice respect and tolerance. You add tremendous spirit, and you become confident leaders. And in doing so, you've enriched Millbrook School and added to its magic. So, to the 4-year, 3 seasoned varsity athletes who's discovered she's also an academic weapon, to the one whose love of children has inspired a beautiful photography portfolio, to the aspiring fashion designer who's discovered the zoo is good for the soul, to all of you who took a leap of faith, packed their bags and traveled from places as far as Ghana and as close as Armenia, and discovered a world beyond their tremendous success on the field, and to the ones who are invested in seeing Millbrook achieve carbon neutrality by 2020, to all of you who have stepped up, taken risks, ventured out of your comfort zones, in the classrooms, in the studio, on the fields, and in the stage, in the dorms, and in so many important ways across campus, and challenged us, the faculty, administrators, and board, to meet you, support you, and constantly strive to do better. The board and I salute you, and we thank you for continuing to enrich this school and for making the work that we do meaningful and fun. You are at the end of your Millbrook runway, and you are, in fact, prepared for lives of meaning and consequence. Take all of your amazing identities, hold fast to the values of respect, integrity, stewardship, service, and curiosity. Spread your wings even wider as you cross the threshold to the next amazing chapter, wherever it takes you. There's no doubt you will continue to add value, but wherever you go, please remember that you will always belong here. Millbrook will always be a part of who you are. Thank you.
So well said, Kelly. Thank you very much. Like Kelly Coles, Paul Simons is a proud graduate in the class of 1983 and equally proud father of Harry, class of 2017, and Will, who sits among his classmates today. At Millbrook, Mr. Simons helped the boys' varsity soccer team win the small school championship and create the first ever boys lacrosse team. Of note, he was elected by his class to be the senior speaker in 1983. Here you are again. In between, Mr. Simons earned a BA in political science from Duke University. He's had a successful career in finance, holding leadership positions at Merrill Lynch, Credit Suisse, Seaport Global Holdings, and Boston Private, where he is president. As with Mrs. Coles, as she said, there's some common themes here. Millbrook has remained his passion, and many years of volunteer service culminated in his election to the Board of Trustees in 2017. Please join me in welcoming Paul Simons back to the commencement lectern.
Thank you, Drew and Kelly. And good morning, students, faculty, friends, family, but most importantly, members of the graduating class of 2019. I can't describe what an honor it is for me to be speaking to you today, and it's a bit surreal, having not just sat where you all are sitting, but stood where I'm standing 36 years ago, as I spoke on behalf of the class of 1983 and collected my diploma. And I have to begin today by saying thank you to all of you. It was 4 to 5 years ago that we were doing some spring cleaning, and I came upon the original handwritten copy of my 1983 commencement speech, which I had not read in many years, in which I expressed my heartfelt ambitions for how Millbrook School and the community at large might evolve over time. And it is your class, more so than any other, that embodies and marks the irrevocable achievement of what I tried to articulate as my wishes for Millbrook back in 1983 as a naive, optimistic, yet cynical 17-year-old. Among many things, I wished for more school pride, and this class gave birth to the Millie Hype Squad. I wished for Millbrook athletes to view themselves as underdogs just because of the size of our school. And this class won 2 New England championships this year. And I wish for increased longevity and retention of students. And this class has, I believe, 40 four-year graduates among us today. When I got to Millbrook, there were 8, and when I graduated, there were 20. But what I learned last night is that most of what you all have achieved in the last 4 years was unfathomable to me in 1983. So for all of that, I say thank you to the class of 2019. Ever since Drew asked me to be your commencement speaker, I've struggled with how to give you something of value today and how to avoid being cliche. I started by Googling the top 10 commencement speech cliches, determined to avoid them, and sadly discovered that number 1 is saying that you are not going to be cliche. I then turned to Wibbles for inspiration. Will, what do you think I should talk about? That's your problem, Dad. Just don't be long and don't be boring. So I promise not to be long. And then I looked to my own 1983 commencement speech for inspiration. And it occurred to me that the one constant in my life, the one factor to which I can attribute more than any other, whatever degree of success and fulfillment I've had the good fortune to enjoy, is people. And therefore, perhaps the greatest value I can bestow upon you today is to talk to you about the importance of people in your lives. And there it was in my speech, which I opened with the following, quote, "As I reflect upon what seems almost an eternity, I remember vividly driving onto campus for the first time 4 years ago and being greeted and directed by Mr. Abbott towards Prum Hall. I have impeccable recollection of Peter, George, Eddie, and Billy playing football on the small quadrangle outside the dining hall. I recall in my heart the feeling of isolation and estrangement as I bid my parents farewell and stood at the chain by the side of the road waiting hopefully for someone to invite me to play. Most importantly, however, I remember the happiness and comfort I felt when George pointed me out and threw me the ball. It seems like a long time ago, that sunny autumn day in '79, yet I remember it so well, and the overwhelming warmth and closeness which was expressed to me that very first day has carried me through ever since." End quote. I remember when I wrote and spoke those words feeling a sense of the extraordinary, that it was extraordinary that I could recall with such clarity that moment 4 years earlier. 2 things I've learned since then. 4 years is not an eternity, and there was absolutely nothing extraordinary about my recall. In fact, I am certain that every one of you can remember your first day at Millbrook back in the fall of 2015 or whenever it was. But here's what is extraordinary, that I still remember it now, as if it was yesterday, 40 years later. And I can tell you what each of those boys was wearing. I do believe that that is extraordinary. But that doesn't make it important. What makes it important is that whether it's my soccer coach, my favorite teacher, or Billy, George, Peter, and Eddie, what I remember most and what you will likely remember most is people. You will associate with many institutions as you move through life. Millbrook may be first among them, but there will be colleges and universities, employers, corporations, organizations, and it will always be the people that you remember and that mattered most. But the institution is your connection with the people, and that's no accident. After all, what is an institution, and is it any more than a collection of and a reflection of the people who inspired it and who were inspired by it? By the way, I tracked down George a few years ago in Geneva, Switzerland, and after 35 years, I asked him if he remembered throwing me that ball in 1979. He did not, and I think he thought I was nuts. But I remember it. And so I thanked him. And it serves as a reminder of the impact that all of us can have on one another, even when we don't recognize it. I promise I am not here to regale you with stories from 1979. My point is simply that even in my 1983 commencement speech, although perhaps I did not realize it explicitly at the time, on reading it now, I know that I recognized then that it was people that mattered most. And so if I can share with you any life lessons today to carry with you as you embark on the next phase of your journey, it is these. First, be someone who connects with people, who connects to people, who connects people with people, who helps people, is willing to be helped by people, and who never forgets the people in your lives. And of course, not everybody is an extrovert. Not everybody is a people person, but understanding that it is people, how you interact with them, how you impact and remember them, how they impact and remember you, who will be the constant in your lives. Just recognizing that will be a force multiplier in your quest for fulfillment. And as an aside, I know I'm not going to win any wars against screens or social media today, but I will say this. Whatever needs your generation and mine fulfills today with phone screens and social media were fulfilled for generations before us by direct human interaction. Please try to hold on to that just a little bit. Second, while I stand before you tonight as a very happy, grateful, active, engaged, and supportive alumnus, I regret that I did not do more to stay connected with Millbrook during the early years, even the first 25. I lost track of and touch with a lot of good people. The rewards that you can and should reap from your alumnihood and the benefits that you can bestow upon others are not inevitable, nor are they the accidental rewards of effortlessness. Despite your best intentions, when you say your final goodbyes, you will all get busy living your lives. Use the school to stay in touch, to stay close, to stay engaged, not just with the school or for the school, but with and for yourselves and each other. Do not make the mistake I made of losing out on 25 years. Make an effort early. And third, turn on the lights. I remember when I began my very first real job after college as a trainee at Merrill Lynch, I made a point of being the first person in the office every morning, which meant I turned on the lights. I knew that I didn't actually know anything. I had no experience. I had nothing on the more senior, talented, and tenured professionals in the office. I was unsure of how or if I would ever be successful. But making sure I turned on the lights every morning was something I could control. And I realize that you are not all going out into the workforce just yet. This is not professional advice. The vast majority of challenges that you will face and the curveballs that will come your way will come from forces and circumstances beyond your control. Turning on the lights has become a metaphor for me. It means making sure that at a minimum, I get right the things that I can control. You should too. And at the age of 53, even as an experienced and accomplished executive in my field, I still turn on the lights almost every morning. And perhaps even that was evident in my commencement speech. In 1983, I quoted the English writer and philosopher Aldous Huxley. I have no idea why. Somebody must have told me that I had to quote somebody. But today I can share that quote again, this time with a lot more conviction and wisdom than I had at 17. Quote, "Experience is not what happens to a man. It is what man does with what happens to him." In other words, stuff happens. Deal with it. You are young adults now. What happens to you or to others in your life will not define you. How you respond, react, learn, evolve, power through, that will define you. And turning on the lights will help too. I promise to be brief, so let me conclude with one final cliche. This class is very special. I imagine every commencement speaker at every school says that to every class. I even said it to my own class 36 years ago. But I say that today because I know you. I know you on this campus, on these fields, in my car, in my kitchen, on my floors, and in my garage. This class has character. This class has achieved. This class has been blessed by the impact of exceptional students, remarkable people of diverse talents, backgrounds, and experience. But you're not just exceptional. You are also extremely well prepared, better than you know, to achieve your full potential in college and beyond, or whatever path you choose. You are also destined to remain connected to each other and to Millbrook. And I get it, just like I felt 36 years ago, you are all excited to move on from this place. And rightfully so, but believe me, you'll be back, just like I am. I ended my last commencement speech with the following, quote, "Today, as we say goodbye to an important era of our lives, I leave my best wishes on behalf of the senior class that Millbrook will continue the rapid progress it has made during our term here, and that each of you who have yet to complete your careers at Millbrook will develop a sense of pride and devotion that will enable you to graduate with a feeling that it has all been worthwhile. And it is with that feeling myself that I bid farewell to Millbrook from the class of 1983. End quote. Today, as we bid farewell to the class of 2019, I still feel the same way, and I hope that you do too. Congratulations again. Thank you again for helping to bring my wishes for Millbrook to life. Commencement means beginning, and you are beginning the most exciting years of your lives. Attack them with a sense of purpose, but most importantly, have fun and enjoy them. Thank you.
Paul, it was good to have you back. Thank you for that wisdom. It's a Millbrook tradition for the sixth form to elect one of their own to speak at commencement. The class of 2019 has made a smart and inspired choice with the election of Sean Coleman, a four-year senior, a prefect, and someone who will leave his school better than he found it for many reasons, and especially, as stated earlier, as the co-founder of the Millie Hype Squad, designed to improve school spirit, which indeed it did. Go ski. Before I ask Sean to come forward, I'd like to tell him and all of you that in 1960, the senior speaker was Peter John Wallace, who tragically lost his life while an undergraduate at Yale. In memory of her son, Mrs. William Leonard endowed this special gift which is presented to the senior each year. Sean, please join me to accept this gift and to share your parting words. Picture it now? Okay, come on, we're gonna have a picture taken. Come on.
Don't be shy.
Okay, good. And there's water.
Sweet. I'll take a sip of that now.
Graduates, faculty, students, and families, good morning and welcome to the celebration of the Millbrook graduating class of 2019. It's a hot take, but I think we are the greatest class this school has ever seen. To start, I want to thank everyone in my life who have made these 4 years so special. To my family, friends, teachers, and Gregory from the snack bar, you guys have all contributed to my experience here in your own unique ways, and I truly cannot thank you all enough. I hope you all are wearing your underpants today because everyone's always told me to imagine the audience in their underwear when you're trying to give a speech, but honestly, as I'm doing that now, it is not helping. It's just making me kind of uncomfortable, especially when I'm looking at you, Mr. Hart. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Hart and I developed a very interesting relationship this year in our economics class. Throughout the process of writing this speech, I asked for a lot of advice from faculty members and parents. Just about everyone said the same thing. Be yourself, be genuine, make it memorable. Mr. Hart just told me don't be obnoxious. As much as you absolutely shredded me this year, just know that I loved every minute of it, and it was one of my all-time favorite classes here, mainly because it was an elite group of kids and I loved messing with you, but learning economics was also great. Today is a monumental day in all of our lives, as not only do we gain the privilege of having a Millbrook diploma, but we have now all earned the privilege of not needing anyone's approval to use the bathroom after lights out. It's a pretty big responsibility, but you've earned it. Today, we no longer are grad students. We are graduates. And as cliche as it is, it's very true. We are a unique class, and we have graduates who showed everyone what it means to leave something better than we found it. Usaini Buddha, a graduate whose legendary achievements on the soccer field put Millbrook in the national eye and set the tone for Millbrook athletics moving forward. Jaden Reeves, a graduate who was able to build off his own experiences and develop a self-run mentoring program for future African American students. Chloe Robinson, a graduate who captained 3 varsity sports her senior year and brought TED Talks to Millbrook. Yeah. And then there's me, Sean Coleman, a graduate whose achievements include getting my dorm disqualified from winter weekend freshman year for taking off my shirt, rubbing my nipples, and giving one of the Millbrook buses a car wash with my body. How am I doing, Mr. Hart? It is incredibly surreal, one might even say unbelievable, that I get to deliver this commencement address to you all. If you were to tell me in the fall of 2015 that I would be delivering such a speech, I think I would shed a tear. Followed by the question, wait, I actually graduate? When I first arrived on campus, I took a deep breath in of this crisp, upstate New York air and thought, wow, it's really gonna smell like cow manure every day here. I was a humble 5'3", 95 pounds on a good day, and was known around campus as the annoying little kid who smiled and talked way too much. Now, as I stand in front of you today, I've put on a little weight, like to think I'm a little bit taller, and I'm still known on campus as the annoying kid who smiles and talks way too much. In terms of my knowledge of prep school coming into my first year at Millbrook, I was completely clueless. Throughout the first 3 months of my time here, there was one phrase that seemed to teach me just about everything I needed to know about high school, and that is, dude, shut up. One of the first times this phrase came into play was on my way to one of my first ever Millbrook classes. I was walking down the path to Mask and was belting Firework by Katy Perry. Honestly, with me being a full-on soprano my freshman year, I thought it sounded pretty good. I had a little pep in my step, confidently pushed through the doors to Mask, thinking everyone would love my song just as much as I did. Well, I was wrong. Standing right in front of me when I walked through the doorway was a guy named Ed Bowen, a senior hockey player whose true passion in life was terrorizing little freshmen. Well, needless to say, I was fresh meat. And he sternly told me, "Dude, shut up," followed by a lethal death stare as I walked up the stairs to my class. To say I'd wet my pants at this point would be a drastic understatement. I was genuinely shaking in my shoes. I thought for sure people would sing along with me and maybe even start a little High School Musical flash mob. But no, I was wrong, and the phrase "dude, shut up" took a massive chunk out of my ego. As demoralizing as moments like that may seem, they were crucial to my overall Millbrook experience. Remember, as Hannah Montana told us all not too long ago, everyone makes mistakes and everyone has those days. The fear of being viewed in a negative light or fear of embarrassment is behind so many of our day-to-day struggles. We all have flaws and quirks and shouldn't be afraid to admit them. I still sleep with a nightlight on because I know there's a monster under my bed. My favorite movie is Inside Out, and I love raving with the freshman boys in Harris. But I don't care. I like doing those things and won't let anyone else's judgments prevent me from being myself. And my experience here at Millbrook helped me realize this. Dr. Seuss, the author of perhaps the greatest example of Western literature, Green Eggs and Ham, said, "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." So be yourself, believe in yourself, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I truly believe that the ability to be ourselves and remain positive through challenges is the defining characteristic of our graduating class. Our class excelled at finding our own niche and doing our own thing. We all had and have our own interests and aren't afraid to show them. You see this in the classroom, on the athletic field, in the zoo, and in the arts center. We acted with purpose and positivity and made lasting memories with those around us along the way. If you all have heard of Michael Thomas, the well-respected NFL wide receiver and the MVP of my personal fantasy football team, he said in a tweet the other day, "Ain't no limit to the success of a disciplined hustler." This struck me. In my opinion, there aren't two words that, when paired together, better capture the uniqueness of our graduating class. We are disciplined, doing the right thing when nobody's watching, leaders throughout campus, and most importantly, leaving things better than we found it along the way. We are hustlers because we never stop going. Delta Airlines says good things come to those who go, and baby, we go. We're hardworking and push ourselves to our highest standard in everything we do. Combine the discipline with the hustling, and you have a clear image of our senior class. We are the disciplined hustlers of our world, and there ain't no limit to our success. When things go wrong, we choose optimism. After going through losing Mr. Allen our third form year, our class was put in a tough place. In the weeks following, we watched this community rally around each other with support, care, and love for the Allen family. Our yearbook is dedicated to Mrs. Allen because she showed every single one of us what it means to choose optimism and what it means to be resilient in the face of adversity. If you can look back at the moment you first arrived on campus and can confidently say that sitting here today, you have matured and grown into a better person, then you have had a positive experience here. Whether you realize it or not, going to Millbrook has changed every single one of us for the better. I did not love every moment of my time here, and it was by no means perfect, but I appreciate and acknowledge the fact that it has given me the tools to grow into a better person. So many people come in expecting everything they want to be served on a platter, expecting things to always go their way, and expecting people to always say and do the right things. But in the wise words of the Italian stallion, the world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. Just like life, Millbrook is meant to be challenging. The times that stink here make the good times that much better. The days when the weather is awful and you feel like you'd rather be anywhere else but on campus make you tougher and more resilient. A caterpillar trapped in its cocoon must endure significant amounts of struggling in order to blossom into the graceful butterflies we know. But as they break out of their shell, if one were to cut it open and assist them on their journey to metamorphosis, the butterfly would only proceed to wither and die. They must do it themselves and build the strength needed to withstand the world and fly. We were all caterpillars with a dream to fly. We have endured the long papers, the cold winters, and all the times that can make this place seem miserable. But today, we're coming out on the other side, better and stronger than we were before. I said this before, but I'm saying it again. The class of 2019 is an outstanding graduating class. We all know deep down that there are a ton of people and things here that we will always miss. We will miss the daily complaints about the food in the dining hall. We will miss always starting 8 a.m. assembly 2 minutes late with everyone half asleep. And we will miss the quirky activities announcements with jokes that just never seem to land. While there are a ton of small, seemingly insignificant things about this place that we'll never forget, the one thing we will all miss the most is each other. The culture here is truly built by the students, and our class wanted nothing more than to make it better for everyone else. I used to be confused why they called graduation day commencement, because if you break down the word, it literally means the beginning or start of something, when for many of us, this seems like the end. But they call it commencement for a good reason. While this is the closing of our experience here and the final time we will all be together on this campus, the closing of a door opens a new one. A new door with new opportunity to be ourselves, remain positive, and continue to be the disciplined hustlers that we all know we are. Yes, this is the end of the road, but it's the start of a new journey as we commence the next stage of our lives. Thank you, and let's go ski.
Sean, as I said, smart and inspired. Very well done. We now move to our 3 individual commencement awards, the Sportsmanship Cup, the Community Service Cup, and Summa Cum Laude. These prizes, and these prizes only, are included in the commencement ceremony because they represent those qualities we value most and we seek to inspire in all Millbrook students: sportsmanship, service, and intellectual curiosity and endeavor. The Sportsmanship Cup, established by the class of 1942 for sportsmanship and fine athletic service. Sportsmanship is the ability to win or lose with good grace and a spirit of contribution above what is expected. By vote of the varsity coaches, this year the Sportsmanship Cup is awarded to Jaden Reeves. Jaden is a talented athlete, a 4-year varsity letter winner in basketball. He's a 2-sport captain. He is tough. He is demanding of himself and his teammates and his peers, and he's as competitive as anyone I know. A story from cross country will help illustrate. On one of the last days of practice, there was a tie on a little team competition day. Jaden just could not tolerate a tie. So he rallied his teammates to do an extra sprint up Case Hill to break the tie, and of course, his team won, despite someone falling, and Jaden sprinting to the end to win. As a prefect, he brought competition into our otherwise loving and gentle Friday assemblies. And that is not why he stands before you this morning. To understand, consider this from Mr. Whiting, Jaden's golf coach. Jaden had never played golf before coming to Millbrook. 4 years ago, I thought, what is this kid doing here? Now I think, what will this team be without him? Mr. Tom, Jaden's basketball coach, explains it best. Jaden's ability to live his life with grace sets him apart. His analysis after games focused on how teammates work together, celebrating his teammates' individual successes, strategizing how his teammates could better coexist, always with an eye towards how we could use the human capital of our program to push towards programmatic and school success. Jaden, over your 4 years as a Mustang, you have been the very definition of winning and losing with good grace and a spirit of contribution above what is expected as you head off to Dartmouth. We are delighted to honor and to thank you with the Sportsmanship Cup. The Community Service Cup, whose citation reads simply, for excellence in community service. On behalf of the faculty who elect the recipient, it's my privilege to present the Community Service Cup to you, Jia Wei, known to us as Vivian. At Vivian's induction to cum laude, Ms. Peterson, her advisor, said this: Vivian Yu is better than everyone at everything. That may be true, but what prompted my colleagues to vote unanimously to award the Community Service Cup to Vivian is that they have seen her spread her substantial talents so generously as a 2-year peer counselor, a student tutor, an international student advisor, and a member of the Carbon Neutral Planning Committee. As if that wasn't enough, through her independent science research project, Vivian calculated Millbrook's carbon footprint and planned a path to carbon neutrality for the school by Earth Day 2020. You know, small stuff. To turn again to Ms. Peterson, quite simply, Vivian makes everything better, whether it's the intellectual force she brings to the classroom, the calm empathy she brings to her relationships, or the quirky sense of humor that makes us all laugh. Truly, I can't think of a situation that wouldn't be improved by Vivian's presence. Vivian, at a school whose motto is non sibi sed cunctus, not for oneself but for all, there is no greater honor than the Community Service Cup. The folks at the University of Pennsylvania have no idea how fortunate they are to have you as a member of their community. Congratulations and thank you. At commencement in 1962, Headmaster Edward Pulling announced that he and Mrs. Pulling were establishing a special award to honor the ranking scholar in each graduating class. The member of the class of 2019 who graduates summa cum laude this year is Charlotte Meggs. I bet you think I'm going to talk about Charlotte's straight A's over 4 years with some A pluses, always in our most demanding courses. Transcript perfection. A summa cum laude winner if there ever was one. But nope. I want to tell you about this mug. Beautifully handcrafted, with an adorable red panda inside, and the initials CM at the bottom. This mug and the many others that Charlotte created are the product of her honors-winning culminating experience for seniors. This mug tells us everything we need to know about Charlotte the scholar, about her desire and ability to make connections among her passions, about her eagerness to then make those passions and connections useful to others, whether it's in the form of her independent science research in which she investigated, now follow this, 2 avenues of potential reasons for the lack of reproduction in one of our female pandas. You can't do that anywhere else. Or showing others animals she loves, or seamlessly weaving together her passion for the zoo and the arts with her mugs and painted emu eggs. In all cases, Charlotte is curious and determined. She's excited to make connections, often with seemingly disparate topics, and she's committed, always committed, to leaving something of lasting benefit. Charlotte, we recognize you today because your grades are the best in your class. We honor and thank you as you leave us for Scripps College for all that you have done for Millbrook. Ms. Havard and Mrs. Coles will now assist me in presenting the diplomas to the class of 2019.
Seniors, please rise. The grade class of 2019, you are pushy. You pushed us to take you to Peru and to Ghana. You pushed us to give you more platforms from which to speak your minds. As scholars, creators, competitors, fashion icons, fans, and pranksters, you pushed us. And you also pushed us and each other to lighten up, keep perspective, and focus on what matters. You pushed us because you care, and we, your teachers and peers that you leave behind, are so grateful. Keep pushing, keep caring. Zachary N. Abdeen. Ethan David Abraham, cum laude. Helen Celine Apollon, cum laude. Adelaide Arma. Henry Jacob Atias. Valentina Del Carmen Beauchamp. Helen Elizabeth Boone. Usaini Buddha. Lucille Kareem Burke. Claire Elizabeth Cardy, cum laude. Elizabeth Margaret Chamberlain. Isabel Sidney Coles. Sean Robert Coleman. Madison Grace Connolly. Peter Wenning Conti, cum laude. Arthur Alec Crichton Stewart. Michael S. Curto. Hugo Alexandra Dalmont. Ryan Manchester Davis. Dexter Josinovich Day, cum laude. Brian Kiernan Devine III. Maria Isabella Diaz. Brooke Aurora Edgerton Warburton. Cameron Mackenzie Fernandez. Owen Robert Finnerty. Henry Winter Frankenbach. Jake Richard Gagnon. Greta Marjik Garshagan, cum laude. Emily Caroline Galinas. Emma Rachel Gotthelf. John McLean Grosscup. Joseph Henry Grossman. Avery Delaney Hamilton. Victoria Ann Hamilton. Claire Anna Hartel, cum laude. Terrence J. Harris. William Henry Eisler. Esther Alexis Kaplan. Brian Kenyon. Skylar Marie Mahaffey. Summer Madison Mahaffey. Lily Ann Marcos, cum laude. Stuart Francis Martin. Dixon Edward Matthews. John William McGinnis. Alyssa N. McLeod, cum laude. Charlotte H.C. Meggs, cum laude, summa cum laude. Isaiah Lakota Miller. Swebatu Karim Mohammed. AJ Morales. Andrew Blake Moriarty. Lily Marie Murphy. Daniela Susanna Mascari. Owen Patrick Nolan. Kyle Oberfeld. Dominic David Pelosi, cum laude. William David Pinkerton. Rafaela Oleana Pope. Isabella Louise Cuccinelli. Christopher Allen Randolph. Jaden Reeves, cum laude. Claire Andrews Reed. Chloe Ann Robinson, cum laude. Harrison Leo Rosenfeld. Jason Dylan Bruskowski. Roan Isabel Cabot Scanlon Black. Samuel Henry Seaver. William Backner Simons. Benjamin Bliss Sosno. Apirit Sotia. Mallory Ann Stafford. Elizabeth Grace Stewart. Colin William Tardio, cum laude. Nicole Marie Turner. Riley Torsen Van Dyne. Dorothy Duncanson Walker. Wang Zhiyong, cum laude. Christopher John Webb. Carolyn Brooke Whitney. Jake Richard Willis. Mateo Gary Winogrand. Hu Jiawei, cum laude. Yu Kai. Adam Ziv. Well done, class of 2019. Now, the Millbrook Singers, directed by Mr. Joe Rosidi, will come to the stage to sing In My Life.
In just a few minutes, you will leave this tent as Millbrook graduates. Before you do, I ask you to listen up one more time. Life is inevitably complex and cruel. It is unfair, disappointing, and painful. Life is beautiful. It is filled with opportunity and wonder and people whose kindness and caring are extraordinary. Both statements are true. To help you cope with the former and find a little bit more of the latter, I offer these suggestions. Be grateful, lest you feel entitled. Be humble, lest you feel you know it all. Be courageous, lest you avoid worthy challenges. Be compassionate, lest you become callous. Give to the annual fund. And of course, leave it better than you found it, whoever, whatever, wherever it is. And finally, remember your teachers fondly, for they, like your parents, are sure to become wiser and more reasonable as you grow older. Or as Mark Twain wrote, when I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much he had learned in 7 years. I wish you Godspeed and all the very best you may find in life. Chaplain Hardy, please bring Millbrook's 88th commencement exercises to a close.
Let us join in a spirit of meditation and prayer. On the verge of an end and a beginning, Creator God, source of our knowing, bless us. We are generations of families and friends, teachers and students, parents and children. We give thanks for the contribution of abundant and diverse gifts offered by each of us throughout this year. We give thanks for trust in our strength to be challenged, that we will endure, and we will gain insight. We give thanks for compassion, reconciliation, and healing, the fuel for us to face and embrace change, to grow unevenly, to navigate past, present, and future, and rest in the constellation of our being. And for the great gift of kinship and friendship, that gift of people, which will sustain us as who we are long after we part ways today. We are blessed. Amen.